So if you're working in an IT industry, I'm sure you have heard about the term called DevOps. Now, if you have heard about DevOps, I'm sure one question will be popping up in your mind as why DevOps is not same as MLOps, or can't we apply this DevOps into the machine learning project itself? So let me answer that question in this video. When we talk about DevOps and MLOps, even though this DevOps and MLOps are actually the well-known terms among the data and the analytics professionals, many business executives that we have got, they do not fully grasp the magnitude of machine learning revolution, which is actually sweeping across the industries. And even they don't understand the significance of these terms for their organization in effectively managing the machine learning. So as a result of this, even I have observed in my projects as well, many organizations struggle to operationalize the machine learning efforts because they mistakenly apply their well-established DevOps principle to the machine learning without recognizing the differences and the role these practices play within the business strategy. Now, if I want to give you a quick recap on DevOps, see, DevOps is actually an effective way of managing the software development process. So this was introduced by Patrick DeBois, who is actually a renowned software developer and a consultant in the year of 2009. And this origins of DevOps can be traced back to the early 2000s when the companies were actually realizing the were actually realizing the importance of enhanced collaboration and the communication between software developers and the IT operations team, and that is where the DevOps came into picture, and which actually helped many organizations to improve their development process, increase the agility of building the application. Now, even though this DevOps may be suitable for managing the general or a traditional software development environment, it is not the optimal approach for the development and the operationalization of the machine learning models. The reason because when we talk about the machine learning models possess the capability to learn from the data itself. If you think about any supervised machine learning, we will just specify the X and Y and we will expect the algorithm to learn the pattern between this X and Y. And here, this pattern learning will happen without the explicit programming. So as a result of this, this is actually a significant advancement in the fields like text translation, applications of NLP like the chat GPT, image recognition, NLP. So these are the various places where we have seen that there's a huge amount of impact has been made. Now, the development and the deployment of this machine learning models obviously resulted in having our own specialized infrastructure. The reason because if you think about training, so whenever I'm training, maybe I want to make use of GPU if I'm training a deep learning models. And when it comes to deployment, depending on the type of use case that I have got, I might require a GPU based inference endpoint, or I might require a CPU based inference endpoint. In some scenarios, I might use the combination of both, where I'll be making use of CPU for data processing and GPU for inference. So it requires the efficient specialized infrastructure, efficient data management, because not only we have got the project code, but also we have the model registry. We need to have a robust processing capabilities. And lastly, we also need to have expertise in specialized skills and the knowledge in order to drive this successful implementation. That's the reason DevOps is clearly not a direct implementation for machine learning. So the key challenges of this machine learning, as I mentioned, this is characterized by the iterative and the experimental nature whenever we are doing the analysis on the data set. When we get the data, we'll perform the EDA and then we'll perform the feature engineering. We'll apply the model, then we can go back and redo the feature engineering step. So it's not a linear approach that we would follow in the case of software development. So it's an iterative and an experimental based approach. And the knowledge of machine learning is very important. And this is one of the specialized knowledge that not everyone in the DevOps team will be aware of. And here, when you're working in a machine learning project, it is expected that you have a background, at least the basics of data engineering, statistics, and the mathematics and its implementation within to the specific business use case. The specialized compute environments like GPUs and CPUs are required for performing the large complex deep learning models. And once the model is developed, it must be effectively deployed and managed within the production environment. And it doesn't just end there. We also have to think about the data management and the governance part as well for a successful machine learning deployment aspect. So, ensuring the proper data management and the governance is also one of the important aspect in the machine learning deployment process. So overall, I can say that here, when we talk about DevOps, so DevOps is a traditional way for the software development. It's a traditional way for the traditional software development. But when I talk about the MLOps, I can say MLOps as the highway because it requires more process oriented approach in order to overcome the challenges. So I hope this gave you the clear difference between DevOps and MLOps and why MLOps is special and it is different from the DevOps. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video.